Damian Garnett Smith,
yes,
better known as Garnett Silk.
Silk. You know, him have some little brother we can sing to, you know.
Yeah, come from down a your part of the world, you know.
Manchester. Yeah, man. Yes, he was born in Brumalia, and then at a young age, his mom moved to Hatfield. So he grew up in the Hatfield area.
Yeah, as a youth who, from early out, he had this thought of getting into the music, and he started out pretty early. By age 12, he was following the sound system and had a little name, what we call it, Little Bimbo.
Little Bimbo. That was his dance song.
You know, but he was a DJ, essentially, and for quite a little while, that's how he made his name. What we want to do, though, is give a little taste of the early Garnett Silk / Little Bimbo, as he was known at the time. Yes. Let's give a listen.
Yeah, 2 songs, Problems Everywhere, Ram Dance Master, and the last one, No Disrespect.
You can literally, to use your term, you can almost visualize the breast milk run off a mouth corner.
Yeah, man, young.
Thing. Yeah, the voice young.
That is one of the hallmarks of Jamaica's artists. They all started out very young, even pre-teen. You know, people like Beanie Man, Garnett Silk,
Dennis
Brown, Delroy Wilson.
Yeah,
a lot of them start out be teenagers or pre-teens.
Yeah, but he had been around the sound system for a while, it appears, because based on the kind of sound system, Conquering Lion, Soul Remembrance, Pepper's Discos, Terraphonic, just to name a few.
And Roof, as they would say, Roof International.
Yeah, Roof International.
Roof International.
Yeah, but he been a thing. Now he met Tony Rebel through the same sound system thing, and basically start to spar with him from, you know, around that time. It's about early 1980s.
Yes.
By this time, the country is now kind of settling down. The DJ dancehall thing is now in vogue, and hence his association with the DJ thing. And for quite a while, this is how he maintained himself. And in fact, according to the scribes, it was a meeting with Derek Morgan, because Derek Morgan is listening to him and realized he have a good voice, he have a good singing voice, and would suggest, you know, that you should try and take up the singing. But he knocked head again with Sugar Minot's Youth Man promotion.
Richie, we cannot understate the importance of Sugar Minot's Youth Man promotion in the development of young artists, a young cadre of artists, people like Michael Lickshot Palmer, Wayne Smith. Sugar Minot had a stable of upcoming artists that was there ready to replenish those artists who were on their way out. And since then, as we have seen in the now 2000s into the 2020s, sadly there is no grooming that is there right now.
Again, okay, if you go back, think about that, because Beanie Man came from the Shocking Vibes crew.
Right.
Vibes Cartel, the Gaza Gully thing with Bounty Killer. So that stable is there. The influence may be a little bit different now. And you know, in fairness, the 1970s into the early 1980s, the music was a little bit different. And again, people like a Sugar Minot and the older artists who had come through the system wasn't unprepared to lend their own management abilities to things. Today, and we talked about it, you know, in another show, where we looked at the kind of influences. So a lot have to do with who the influences were. Remember, again, coming out of the 1970s and so on, you have people like a Bonnie Lee, you have the same Coxsone.
You had the two. You had Studio One, you had Treasure Isle, you had Bunny Striker Lee, and you had other stables. But the difference between then and now, I believe, and we don't want to get too caught up in mentality or anything, but is the disrespect shown to the music, and you'll see it when if you try to play a certain kind of music, you're kind of old people music, which shows that they don't respect the music.
Oh,
but Garnett Silk, he did a couple of early songs, did a duet with Chevelle Franklin, and he also did a couple other songs that, early songs that he did, Yassa Safari, who, along with Tony Rebel, was, and Culture Knox, was instrumental in his early upbringing in the music.
In fact, they were the ones who helped his transformation into Rastafari. But it would be interesting to, give a listen. That song he did with Chevelle Franklin, We Can Be Together.
That's a R&B cover version.
Right.
Well, let's give it a listen.
Clarence,
this song is so prophetic, though. Mama, you can depend on me now. He would not realize what he was singing at the time. But it was the melody is a cover of Clarence Carter's Patches. Yeah.
It's interesting as you play this song, because this was him basically rejoining the music business, because he kind of stepped away for a little bit. I guess after being out there on the sound system circuit for quite a little while, not happening.
And I tell you something, Richie, as talk about stepping away, he in his own words said that when he listened to people like Culture Knox and Tony Rebel, he realized that the DJ thing was not for him. So with Derek Morgan's encouragement, he went into singing. But he said, boy, when I'm really on the sound, even though he was DJing and making a little change for himself, making a decent living, he realized that, when I listen to Culture Knox and Tony Rebel, and I'm like, not when sing, not when DJ. I'm going to go to singing. Because
everybody, you get an opportunity to talk on the mic and so on. So you are essentially a little come around on the sound. You go dance and every man line up, Mr. Selector, give me a little small talk for the mic. You can't make a living out of that. You can't build a career. But one thing that has to be said about him is that he was not unprepared to follow good advice. And that Derek Morgan advice, he took it, and he took Tony Rebel, who he seemed to have had a lot of faith and confidence in. He took his advice, and by the time, I think he was doing some work too with Steely and Clevie, but again, the dancehall era, and he was realizing that was not for him.
What's interesting too is how similar his career was, because again, this is late mid-80s into early 90s to mid-90s before sadly his passing. But Barrington Levy, we talked about Barrington Levy and the fact that a singer really had no place, so he had to carve out his own little niche. And one of the things that strikes you about Garnett Silk was how good a songwriter he is. Because people weren't writing for him, and the time off that he took from the dancehall scene was really to write songs.
What I found, just on revisiting his music catalog, is that he had a good ear, because a lot of, if you listen to his songs, you can, and you're following R&B, the development of American R&B music, which still had a pretty good influence in Jamaica, even at that time, is that he was listening to what was being presented. We mentioned the Mama tune here with Seven Spanish Angels was a song that he did a variation on, which in itself is a huge classic, right?
Yes, and that was Aretha Franklin has one, and I think Ray Charles.
Ray Charles.
Yes.
So it tells you that he had a pretty good ear for the music, and then he was following people like Johnny Nash as well. So you know, and you see that coming out. Let's give a listen. The John and Ash song I can see clearly now, which is a big
with Yassa Safari.
Right. So let's touch a couple of those songs.
This is quintessential Garnett Silk. Trust me. 1991.
You know what I found really interesting with him as an artist and as a writer? The time period that he was around for was extremely short. Eh?
You know what that reminds us of? Slim Smith.
Slim Smith.
And
the same level of talent and impact, you know, and again, 3 different era. Slim Smith, 60s, 70s, Jacob Miller, 70s, 80s, him, 80s into 1990s. But his career was less than 10 years. Eh? Granted, a lot of it was outside of recorded music because he spent a lot of his talent doing what we call dub plate before he hit the real recording. But once he got going, you couldn't stop him.
Yeah, see, I talk about reggae music and its impact in Trinidad. I went to Trinidad 2 times, and I can tell you, Richie, first time into Trinidad, 2011, I figure I was when you're a world of soca music. You know what I hear? On the radio, every day, reggae music and, you know, some R&B, hip-hop and things, mostly reggae, one drop.
That's one of the reasons why the Trinidad, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, after a while, started to try to expel Jamaicans out of Trinidad because the
music was too influential.
It was too influential, and it's diluting what they had, I think. But what was coming out of his conversation there, though, was largely his acceptance of Rastafari, right? Young Rasta too, but you get a sense of how much of him want to demonstrate his own, you know, how devout he was as a Rasta man.
And you'll see that played out in the music of his music.
Absolutely.
As we look into his music and go through playing a lot more Garnett Silk, you'll realize that, yo, this guy was a devout Rastafarian and him not back down and him not take no chat.
I like the way you put that. But let's run through a couple of things because Nothing Can Divide Us, which another classic became the title of his album, and there was a lot of follow-on work that would come from the investment that they made in terms of putting the material together for this album. And as you say, again, the Rastafarian thing and his commitment to the cause for himself. Because for him, the music was a vehicle for him to practice, you know, his acceptance of his faith. Nothing can divide us.
Just again want to tell you, welcome, and Sunday Scoops. Garth Hendricks, Richard Blackford. We're here presenting Garnett Silk, de facto quintessential
big talent.
Big monster talent outside of Manchester. And to let you know that our merchandise are available on our website, www.yaaddmedia.com. You can get a pair, 3 masks in a pack. It's 3 in a bag for $20, cap, and the shirts you're wearing are available on the website.
In fact, the Surgeon General has made it quite clear that one of the simplest protections you can provide for yourself
against
as far as the COVID-19 virus is concerned is a face mask. And if you have to wear a face mask, let's wear something that is representative of who we are, and you know, and that's what this is.
You're right, Richard. I was doing something up in Palm Beach, and as soon as I walk in, I had on a mask, and the guy said, "You're Jamaican."
There you go.
We need to think,
and that's what we're trying to do. We want to be advocates of our music, and if you're just joining us, we're tuned to Sunday Scoops, and today what we're looking at is a career of
Garnett Silk.
Garnett Silk.
We played a couple of songs before. Ready to Love You Give Us Strength, Nothing Can Save Us. You know, a couple of songs like those. And pretty much it shows you the early stages of his career. He was still doing cover versions. Just Once was at James Ingram.
Right.
And, you know, Ready to Love You Again, I think is Gloria Loring.
Right.
So, and then you start seeing his songs.
He started to become more comfortable, writing and putting his own work out. Right.
Give Us Strength. Just again quoting the Psalms, and you'll realize that a lot of Psalms get quoted in Garnett Silk's presentation.
And I think that was because of his embrace of his faith as a young Rastafarian.
Yep.
You know, at a time too where the way would have been cleared, because earlier Rastaman don't have, you know, the kind of latitude in terms of the music. But again, the role of a people like Marley,
Brown, Bob Marley,
there you go.
Gregory Isaacs, Burning Spear, Culture. Rastafari is now mainstream and is accepted. You know, I mean, in some places you still get low. And when somebody say I have locks, like, you know, I get no talk. But, you know, it is still mainstream. Richie, we have to stop this song because, trust me, this song is what cemented Garnett Silk in the psyche of Jamaica. And
you're
not
right.
Jamaica, across the planet.
You're right. I you know, from the perspective of somebody who followed Jamaican music, because listen, I follow Jamaican music. I come out of the tail end of the 1960s, and because of, you know, when you join the business of hearing and paying attention to Jamaican music, over time I went further backwards and then you come forward. You watch artists who grew up on you, the Dennis Browns, the Delroy Wilsons, the Sleepy.
Yes.
Right?
Horace Sandy.
These were talent. We watched the nurturing of them. But by the time I got into the 80s, one of the things too is that in the 1980s, the music kind of turned me off because the dancehall thing was a little bit more than I was prepared to take.
Mid to late 80s.
Right.
Because early 80s was still doing
no,
a lot of
early 80s, true, and you're right. But by the time I got that second half of the 1980s thing, Slang Tang was, you know, acceptable. The point though is that Garnett Silk just seemed to come out of nowhere, right?
That's true.
Nowhere. The first time you hear him, in fact, he wasn't even singing as Garnett Silk. He was DJing, but it sounded different. It sounded like something that you'd have listened to. And then he came on the scene, and then he started to sing, and the voice is like a trumpet. Him cut through everything else that was there.
You know, coming like remind me of Barack Obama.
No, you said like a joke, but you know, here's this youth. He just one day you woke up,
and he was just there.
And he was there. This was early 1990s, and Hello Mama Africa, because that's the song that really caused me to pay attention to him. The song was crystal. It was almost as like, you know, a lesson you get it.
And also the other songs that supported, I wouldn't say supported, but just came underneath it, you know, like Fly the Gate, you know, those songs kind of just helped to give this song so much more buoyancy, you know, and it was just there because the de facto rhythm is Mama Africa, which is Smile, the Smile rhythm. 1992, this was a monster hit. So let's give a little bit more listen to Mama Africa.
Mama Africa. Hold on. That little interview you played.
Snippet.
The snippet of an interview.
There was someone in IRFM. I'm trying to catch your voice. I'm trying to catch it was Elise Kelly.
Elise Kelly, it sounded like. Right.
You know.
But he made the line, John run wire fence, and that music, the music is not a music that just belong to one set of people, you know. And him say, as a Rastaman, him not really see color. And, you know, I am marveling because I remember where the music had come from. And, you know, that Rasta, that he is comfortable enough to openly now, you know, defend his faith, which is, again, you stand up on the shoulders and enough of the man.
Rastaman was the scourge of the
scourge
earth.
of the earth. You tell your parents you're a Rasta and you better, you can pack your bungle and flash.
Leave the premises.
Because
immediately.
them not saying you go to no school.
The pass go and collect $200.
You play a tune, when you listen to some Curly Locks, the same Bob Marley again, where I talk about, in the days when he must say Rasta, him literally wipe himself out of society. And here is a youth, you know, how times have changed. And he has, you know, taken this thing so far forward. And then the music that him have, the music he's producing is acceptable music. You know, again, enough of them tune 20 years earlier can't get no airplay. But his divinity, his commitment to his faith is really what got me more than anything else. And then the impact it have on the quality of the music that he produced.
So Richie, you see what I said, the man whimsical. He understands the love of a woman, and those songs that I just played.
Whimsical sound like a little. Listen, man, we love.
The man is a militant Rasta man.
He's a Rasta man, but nothing wrong with you know, recognizing the value of a relationship with a woman. But you know, it's a little out of the ordinary based on the what we recognize as a tradition of
where he was going.
Right. And most Rastaman have not time for them sort of thing. But listen, what the man had was an excellent voice.
Yes.
And so if you have that kind of vocal, your term tonal quality, anything you put it to is going to be good. And again, you have a...
Coupled with good writing and good production.
And he had that. Well, he had the ability to write, and he had a good sense to find the right people in the local music industry to guide the development of his work. But again, when you consider that meeting he had with Derek Morgan in Bonnie Lee studio, 1989, you know, to take his advice, you have to give him some credit as well too, because most youth, you know, blind man, where I come from.
Like a blind boy.
Yeah, you know, but to his benefit. Now, during this time though, he had now made his name. He have an international presence and a significant national following. And so he had the opportunity now to go big time. So he was on some fests and Sunsplash. Hard-working youth, and I think over time the overexposure took its toll, right? And I think he was at a show in New York, I think it was, where they say he collapsed on stage, right? And I guess due to exhaustion, and so he had to kind of step away from the music for a while. Missing, you imagine, you as an organizer for a big show like Sumfest or Sunsplash, and you book an artist like of his metal and him cancel, you know, would have been a big thing, a big hit for his career and otherwise. But he would come back, you know, and so 1994, this would have been late 1993, so he stepped away from the music, and beginning of 1994, he would hit the road again. And he came back with a bang. I think one of the tunes that favorite of mine, Skylarking, which
that's
my Horace Andy thing. You know, me a sleepy man already still. Love is the answer. Fight back, you know, anthems. And he came back with a vengeance.
So let's start out with Love is the Answer, then we'll get into Skylarking and then Fight Back.
Well, listen, by this time now, Garnett Silk is finding his way. He's now a big artist. He had now gotten the word in terms of this contract. When you get a call with a big label, granted, we recognize too that a lot of them, the label name big, but in terms of its impact on Jamaican artists and Jamaican music. But for him, given the time that he had been in the music, this was a big move. And so he, Atlantic Records signed with Atlantic, and the idea was that he would do 2 albums. And so he hit the studio, I think it was Tough Gong Studio. He was, they lined up some of the best session musicians with him. Mm-hmm. And this would now be the acid test, if you will. You know, here's a man at the prime of his career. Everything is looking up. And, you know, unfortunately...
Where were you, Richie, on that morning?
Well, I'm telling you that...
Because I think it happened the Friday night into Saturday.
1994, 95. This is 1995. Friday night would have been my little usual rendezvous at Mingles nightclub, right? I would have been living in Portmore. I was living in Garvermead. That's it. And so we come home from Mingles the Friday night, and they're home, and the news hit. You know, apparently, according to the Dog newspaper, he had suffered a whole heap of break-in at his home, and through some misadventure, some friend and company thing, he got himself involved with some firearm business, and the man I show him how to use a firearm and shoot the gas cylinder. You know? No.
I didn't hear the night, but I was in Island car rental at Knutsford Boulevard that Saturday morning when I heard the news, and I was just like, oof.
Yeah,
but
it's almost like the place stopped for a while. There was a career. But you know, just recapping some of the music where you play, I Am Vex. In fact, you go back to the early days, the Ram Dance Master, Place in Your
Still.
You know, Rejoice in His Name, Place in Your Heart, Hello Mama Africa. You know, tunes that
Blessed be the Almighty.
You know where you were, and you realize this was a phenomenal talent. And you know, unfortunately, none of us were designed to be here forever. Just that sometimes some leave a little earlier than you would have expected, but such is life. I think he made his mark, and to my little comment earlier, you know, when a man pass through, you wanna know your purpose, leave something that people can look back and say, you know, in spite of everything, the brother, he was here, and he was significant. He participated.
You weren't the proverbial in the wind. You know?
No, I don't want to use that kind of term. But today we looked at the career, albeit brief, of Garnett Silk, and it just give you again another view as to the vast pot of talent that Jamaica provide as far as the music is concerned. Mm-hmm. And you know, one man, we talked about the train. You know, people, it's like a journey on a train, and so as he departs, others will come on. And you know, none of us are here forever, but it is good that what he left us, we can package it and represent it, because he did his time. He left his mark.
And the perfect song to leave you with before we say walk good, guide and bless, is Garnett Silk's A Man is Just a Man.
Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yawdmedia.com, where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise, and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.